Hi, and thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about Lori Loughlin, the royals, ghosts, and we have a special Halloween talk with Hecate. Our user feedback is about skydiving, and we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories and haunted doll photos we talk about here can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 34. All right, so we were off. Hi, wait, I forgot to do my intro. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write a Celebrity.
And I'm Kaiser. I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I'm Chandra. I'm Chandra, and I write as Kaiser, and I'm the head writer for Celebrity.
Okay, this is absurd. So, okay, there's a mattress in my office now, and 2/3 of my couch cushions are in my okay, let me start from the beginning. Last week we recorded, we had a really great time. It was fun, like every week, you know. So I listened to it and I'm like, oh, it's so echoey. I must have forgot to close the door. I'm an idiot. Okay, whatever. I'll close the door next week. We just can't release this week. Fine. Then I was scheduled to record with Hecate Tuesday to talk about her creepy doll collection because she has all these awesome dolls, which she puts in her house as a Halloween display. And I did a test audio for that with the door closed. And I was like, oh my God, it still sounds terrible in here. What happened? I realized that I have cleaned out my office. Not a lot, but I had some Amazon boxes in here. I got rid of the air conditioner and I got rid of a couple printers and replaced them with a smaller printer. So I was like, no problem. I'm sorry, this story is going to go on forever. I bought $80 worth of audio muffling panels on Amazon and I sprayed them on cardboard. I put them up with the command tape so they wouldn't damage the walls. And I was like, I got this. And then I listened to it. It's still just as echoey. My son is like, okay, well, a lot of YouTubers put like mattresses and pillows and stuff in their recording spaces. So it's like, oh, we got that mattress in the garage. We dragged the mattress from the garage, nothing. So last night I'm like in bed eating Rolos, you know, just like feeling sorry for myself because you know, you listen to it over and try again anyway. This morning, I finally dragged the couch cushions up here, and the couch cushions are what worked. So,
okay. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't me screwing up the podcast like usual. So I'm glad. It's
insane because the difference, it's not marginal. You could really hear the difference, but I felt like I was going crazy. Like, oh, maybe it could be any variable. It could have been the microphone or something else, but
yeah, I thought it was probably the microphone or your filter or something like that. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I switched my microphone with my son's microphone. It was a lot of stress. So I'm glad we can record, and thanks for listening to all my drama.
Okay. I have a suggestion. Can we switch around the subjects and let's talk about Lori Loughlin first?
Okay.
Because we have a lot to say about the royals, and Lori's a quick one.
Okay, sure. Let's do it.
You can do it. You do the intro. That's fine.
Okay, so Lori Loughlin and her husband Mossimo Giannulli have been charged in a third indictment to commit federal bribery. And instead of just shutting the fuck up and accepting the fact that she's probably going to go away for a long time, she's still leaking to People magazine, acting like the biggest victim ever.
As I was writing those stories, I was thinking about this, like, if she hadn't insisted that she was this innocent white lady, I would actually feel sorry for her. If she wasn't such an asshole, I would think that, okay, yeah, maybe it is kind of unfair that federal prosecutors keep on adding all of these massive, you know, charges against her, and they keep punishing her for not taking a plea deal. But she's just so terrible that I kind of have to laugh about it.
And I'm sure that she's getting more stuff thrown at her because she's terrible. They're watching. I mean, she's in People magazine constantly. Like,
and it's always when she's like she's dressed in white, and she's just so faith-based and churchy.
She's just going to yoga and church.
And she's just so innocent. And she was talking about, the sources were talking about how she was a scapegoat. That's not what a scapegoat is. A scapegoat is not someone who did all of these crimes and is now being charged with all of these crimes.
Somebody commented on Twitter, she's guilty. She's not a scapegoat. She's guilty, which is exactly what you wrote.
She's looking for a scapegoat. That's what a scapegoat is.
Yes.
All right. So that was the easy little story of just Lori Loughlin.
Can I read?
Still an idiot. Yeah. Go ahead, read.
We haven't used the music in like 2 whole weeks. This is the quote from People's Source. She is angry. She is sad. But most of all, she is terrified. It just gets worse and worse for her. And you have to remember, nothing new has happened. They could have charged her with all of this last spring, but they waited. She feels like she is a scapegoat.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, it's funny. And then there were people yesterday in the story on Wednesday who were like, I really do feel sorry for her, you guys. And we're like, shut up. Oh, that's funny.
Well, we can thank Jade Giannulli for commenting. Olivia Jade, that's her name.
Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you this. So somebody commented on the Sofia Vergara story where she finally beat her ex's ridiculous embryo lawsuit on a technicality. And they were really smearing her with some unfounded claims, just ridiculous stuff that she was a prostitute or something. And I ran their IP address and it was from California. I bet it either was her ex or somebody he's got on his payroll.
Yeah, probably.
I'm glad she finally got away from that guy. I'm never going to buy his onions anymore.
I mean, it's been 5 years. 5 years he's been trying to punish her for leaving him.
Leaving him.
Yeah. That's all it is.
I feel so bad for her. I mean, she's living her best life, so, but still.
Yeah. I mean, she's getting pipe from Joe Manganiello or whatever his name is.
Pipe.
Oh my God. I was trying to be as crude as possible.
I haven't heard that in so long. He's slinging the pipe. Oh my God. I gotta watch Magic Mike 2 again. That was awesome when he got with Andie MacDowell.
He just seems like such a puppy, like he's just kind of a big dumb puppy. But he seems to absolutely adore her. So good for her.
Yes, I hope they stay together. I like him from True Blood. So we had the crazy Royals news this week.
The past 2 weeks, yeah, really.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, but it didn't make it to air. So Duchess Kate and Prince William went to Pakistan on a royal tour, which was surprisingly successful purely due to how fabulous she looked and acted, which was not typical of her.
Yeah. Let's be fair. She's honestly a very awkward person around people, and she was really engaging, and she just seemed to really enjoy herself and to be focused on people in the right kind of way. Yeah, she was just being normal. She was just enjoying herself. She was enjoying interacting with people. Oh. And she looked great. I thought she looked great.
She did look good. And you just made me think of something. Maybe she's so relaxed because the focus isn't on her anymore and she didn't know how to act before. Because everybody was nitpicking the crap out of her, and now that they're doing it to Meghan, she doesn't have to worry. I'm not saying she has a hand in any of that. I don't think it's her. But I think things are easier for her now.
Yeah, obviously, she's well aware of the fact that she can do no wrong at this point because everyone is nitpicking Meghan. Kate knows that.
Yeah. But also, Meghan is a good role model. We talked about that last week, too.
Yeah, she is. And Kate likes competition. She's shown that throughout her life, that she likes to have some sort of competition to compare herself
Sportiness, with. For whatever reason. And I do think she's been trying to please the firm and just not knowing how to smile, not knowing how to act. And now she's like, screw it, doesn't matter. And so she really was great on that tour.
Yeah.
I guess I should give her credit for that.
Yeah, she just seemed relaxed. After 8 years of marriage, she's finally relaxed in the role. Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you be relaxed if you were married to William?
No.
I
and he
wouldn't.
looked pissed off the entire time. He really did. He looked not angry at her. He just seems like such a pissy person in general.
He doesn't like his job. He doesn't want to do his job.
Pretty much. But the big story was obviously the Harry and Meghan An African Journey documentary.
So that aired this week in the US, and we both watched it, and it was wonderful. It really gave a good idea of who they are. And we kind of already knew that about them, but it kind of solidified for me how well suited they are for each other. They both have a similar work ethic and purpose. They're both really dedicated to mental health, to being genuine people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think two things at once about how Harry has become a man. Yeah. He did work on himself before he even met Meghan. He worked on his own bullshit. And he got to a place where he was ready to get married. He was ready to be a father. And I feel like she also has made him a better man.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of moved me about what he said at certain parts of the documentary. He's self-aware enough to know that he's not doing well about some things.
Yes.
He's reminded of his mother and that he still feels that, some sort of trauma about her death and the way she died. But he also knows that he can do the work and he can feel better and that it's a journey. It's not just going to be cut and dry. It's not going to be, okay, now I'm better.
And Meghan said stuff like that too when she was talking about keeping a stiff upper lip and how that's can be damaging to somebody.
Yes.
And they are on the same page. And that is a really good point, that she made him a better man, but that he was ready for her and for that relationship at that stage in his life.
And as much as everyone is bitching about how miserable they seem, or they,
I didn't get that.
Huh?
Go ahead. I didn't get that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that I didn't get that either, because they seem
straightforward. They seem like they're just talking their truth to me. And there's a power in that.
Yeah, they're talking their truth. I want to say they do seem upset. They know who and what they are upset with. They're not upset with each other. If anything, this year-long smear campaign has brought them closer together.
Yeah.
They are a tight little family unit, and they see enemies all around, and they know who they're angry with.
That's true. You can tell that they're very much in love, and their love story is something that's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's continuing, and it's them against the world, as you said. So Harry made some points. He said, I will not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mom. And there was a vulnerability to that. There was a story that William felt sorry for how fragile they were.
Yeah.
Which is totally the wrong way to phrase it. I mean, who knows if that's at all true, but they're not fragile.
Sorry, I think that William, that was the official word from Kensington Palace, that William thought they seemed fragile and that he was very concerned about them. Kensington Palace only went to Daily Mail and said all of that because the first report was that William was absolutely furious about the documentary.
Oh, okay.
They came out and said, oh, no, he's not furious. He thinks they're very fragile. He's very worried about his brother.
That's shade. That is total shade. It's
gaslighting, because we all know and believe that William is behind a lot of the smears. Maybe not all of the smears. I don't believe he's behind all of the smears. There was a lot of evidence that showed that William was pushing negative stories about his brother and his sister-in-law during the whole Rose Hanbury thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we know he was very controlling of the press because he sent out all those legal notices. So, yeah.
Right. And all of the royal reporters have been saying for months that they are getting sources in all of the palaces, in Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, who are pushing these stories, these negative stories about Meghan and Harry.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to mention this one thing. Kate Casey at the Reality Life podcast, it's a huge podcast, she DM'd me and she was telling me that she was having a conversation with some UK broadcasters and journalists talking about how the difference in reactions to the documentary. And she said that all of the UK people that she spoke to, they just believe that Meghan is scheming, that she is cunning, that she has some sort of master plan about Harry or the royal family. And I was like, well, yeah, of course they're saying that. That's their whole thing, is that Meghan is a false person, that is all this coded language about women, and specifically women of color.
Women of color, yeah.
And Casey was just saying that all of us here in America, she was saying that to the UK people. She was saying, look, we all love Meghan. We all think that she's great. We're so happy whenever she's back here in America. And they're like, oh no, we just feel the exact opposite. We don't want her here.
I like her podcast. I have to listen to that. I haven't heard it as much recently, but she has a lot of good people on, and she loves reality shows. She watches a ton, and it is so much fun to listen to her. I'll have to hear that one. But it's hard to hear that anybody could think that about Meghan. I mean, if you see the footage from that tour, the way she interacts with people is just so genuine. It's so much like Diana. It's so natural. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
I've said it from the very beginning that one of the biggest things that Meghan and Diana share is the emotional intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
They're people pleasers. They're happy in a group. They're very emotionally intuitive. And Harry is like that, too. He married someone who reminds him of his mother. He really did.
They're very well suited for each other that way. And that reminds me of that story about how Meghan's friends warned her, and some of them went on the record to say they did try to talk to her about not getting involved with Harry because of the problems with the royal family. And
yeah, do you want to just have a space to put the clip?
Yeah, I was going to put the clip there, but I also wanted to say that sunny disposition, that always looking on the bright side, you phrased it like an affirmational life, like living life with these positive affirmations. That can have a downside, too, when you're not realistic about things.
Right.
And when you refuse to see that other side.
And that was the point I was making, even though everyone yelled at me. It's that Meghan didn't want to hear the negativity. And it's not a huge character flaw, but it's going to be a problem for years to come. Is that she puts blinders on, and that she doesn't want to hear the negativity. She doesn't want to take advice when it means that she has to look in the face the fact that these assholes are racist and they hate her.
Exactly. I totally agreed with you. And I think that was a good way to conceptualize it. So here's that clip of her kind of admitting to that she didn't take her friend's advice.
When I first met my now husband, my friends were really happy because I was so happy. But my British friends said to me, I'm sure he's great, but you shouldn't do it because the British tabloids will destroy your life. And I very naively, I'm American, we don't have that there. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not in tabloids. I didn't get it. So it's, it's been complicated.
There's, like I said, there's a good and bad side to being so positive all the time. And you do have to listen to the other side and balance it out.
Right. And I'm not sure she knows that. Even now, I'm not sure she knows that.
Because she's hanging out with her dogs on the couch.
Yeah.
Waiting for That's the person she is.
I like that she admits that she's naive, or that she was naive. I think she's still naive about it.
Yeah, she said that, yeah.
Again, it's not the biggest character flaw in the world. She lives an affirmational life. But be realistic and see what's in front of you. See how bad it's going to get. And start planning accordingly.
But I think they did do that. And as you can see from how they're suing the tabloids, well, that one tabloid they're suing, they got an American PR firm. We don't know the details about that, but we know that they've been fighting back. And through this awesome documentary, they're fighting back.
Yeah.
So I think that she is seeing that other side. I have been trying really hard lately to listen to stupid affirmations, to do meditation, to do all that. It really helps me. But you can't get too wrapped up in that stuff, or, you won't see what reality is.
Right. you'll live like Jennifer Lopez, which is both good and bad, you know. And that's who I always think of, like living that kind of affirmational life where you just put on blinders and only see the positive.
Because she's going out with A-Rod, you know, like he's the biggest cheater ever.
But she does her affirmation.
And she's like, oh, but he loves me.
She does her affirmation, so it's all good.
She gets the big jewelry and she's like, yeah, look at that. And that's all she sees. So, and then here's the clip about, she also talked about how things have been tough for her, particularly when she was pregnant and had a newborn at home.
Look, any woman, especially when they're pregnant, you're really vulnerable. And so that was made really challenging. And then when you have a newborn, and also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay. But it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
And the answer is, would it be fair to say not really okay? Since it's really been a struggle.
Yes.
That was the clip that just everyone kind of freaked out about, just because it was so sad and she just looked so sad.
She was genuinely upset, but she was trying to hold it back. You could tell it wasn't like she's putting it on. And I watched Suits a little bit. She can act, but she can't act that well. No offense to her. She's a character actress. She's not like some Oscar caliber actress yet. She met the love of her life and he was a prince. And who among us would say no to Prince Harry?
Yeah, there's that. But there's also, and once again, I'm not blaming Meghan. I'm just saying that she absolutely could have in the past and still needs to have her eyes wide open to the reality of what she's facing. Yeah. She went in there like totally blind and willfully blind to what was about to happen to her. And this is a girl who studied the royal family. I don't care what she says now. I don't care what she says in her engagement interview. She knew who Harry was. Yeah. She knew about the royal family. She had studied Diana. You can tell.
Yeah. And you're going to piss off some stans, but I'll tell you that you're right. And I like the fact that you're balanced and we're balanced about her. It doesn't make her a bad person.
No, it does not. It does not make her quote unquote cunning or whatever the British press wants to label. It makes her a researcher, whatever. But I think that she can be both of those things. She can do research. She can have grown up idolizing Diana like a lot of women our age did. Oh, yeah. She can do all that. And she still went in blind. She still went in thinking, well, it's just going to be me and Harry and we're in love and we can face anything.
Someone wrote, love is a hell of a drug, which is...
It really is. And you can see that she is still in that loved up stage of making heart eyes at Harry, and she just adores him so much, and he adores her too. And that gives me hope that they will find a way through this difficult phase.
I think you're right that this brought them closer and that they're more of a unit because of this and that they're united against the world. They're going against this institution, which is the royal family, along with the press, which is huge and crazy in England. It's different than we know. And she's big bucks, and it's big bucks to paint her as this scheming woman.
Well, that's just the storyline this week. You know, we'll see what the storyline next week is.
So, episode 16, Hecate and I and my mom talked about ghost stories. You didn't listen to that because it's creepy to you. No shade on that, I'm just saying.
No, but I hate Halloween. I don't like to be scared. I don't like scary movies. The most innocent scary movie will give me nightmares and I won't be able to sleep and I'll freak out because I'm a big scaredy cat, and that's okay. That's who I am. Yes.
And don't read the comments on the post today about The Conjuring, because some of those were freaking me out.
No, I saw some of the comments in moderation and they freaked me out. Oh my god.
It's like, oh, that's how we ended up talking about ghost stories, because we had covered something where Sting said he lived in a haunted house and the stories were like freaking me out and convincing. So I guess I don't know what your stories are. And do you want to start?
I have like several smaller stories. Some are just kind of like sad and creepy a little bit.
Okay.
Whatever. Well, I think I might have told this story on the podcast before. I don't remember if I just told it to you and not the podcast.
Hi, I'm recording this later. Chandra did tell this story on podcast number 16, but we're including it again as it's relevant to her next story, which is also very scary.
This was like the big story that freaked me out. So my father passed away in 2011, and it was in April. And the next year, I was thinking about him a lot around the 1-year anniversary of his death. I was genuinely thinking about him a lot. And on the exact anniversary of his death, the very exact minute, it was very early in the morning. It was like 4 a.m. I woke to a pounding on the front door of my house. I mean, absolute pounding. And this was when my dog was still alive. And he jumped too. That's what freaked me out. So I woke up with a start. He woke up with a start. I ran out of my bedroom. I turned on all the lights. And I was like, who the hell is banging on my door? I opened the door and no one was there. And I sat there and my heart was pounding. I didn't know what was happening. And then I was like, oh my God, this is the exact 1-year anniversary of my father's death.
I got goosebumps.
And
I had heard that, but in a not so detailed.
Yes, that freaked me out. And that still freaks me out when I think about it. So, and I have a second story. This did not happen to me. This happened to my mother. My mother's father died when she was very young. And on the anniversary, it would have been like the 30th anniversary of his death. Something very similar happened to her. She said she was alone in our house, our old house. The backstory on this is that not only did her father pass away, that at that time, she was very close friends with a woman who was sort of a medium. Was very in touch with the spirit world, let's say that. And so my mom was alone in the house, and on the day of her father's death, she swore up and down that the front door opened and that she heard steps on the stairs. And at that exact moment, her medium friend called her and said, "Are you okay? I know what just happened."
Okay. Now I know why you don't read anything about.
And I have one kind of like silly story. So I went to a small Southern college, and here in the South, you can't swing a dick without running into a Civil War battle fight. So
you can't swing.
You really can't. So all over my college campus and all the campus property, it was all like Civil War related. Parking lot was a part of the Civil War battleground. There were a lot of old buildings, and some of those old buildings were dorms. And in my freshman year, my dorm was one of the ancient old buildings. It didn't even have central air or anything like that. I always heard that all of the old buildings had been used as like Civil War era hospitals and hospices, which would have made sense. And so for some reason, because we're idiots, we were freshmen, we were sitting around in the fucking dark. No, it wasn't in the dark. We only had a few lights on. And we were telling ghost stories or something. We were trying to like scare each other. Swear to God, the lights went out and the blinds all jumped up.
What lines?
The blinds. The blinds of all the windows. They jumped up. All of us screamed and we all ran out of that one room. It was freaky. So those are my 3 ghost stories.
That's the last one is scary too. That's not like some super cute Casper or, benevolent. Oh God. They're all scary. Okay, I get it.
Those are my scary stories.
Oh, God. They're good. They're good. All right. Here's my talk with Hecate about her Halloween doll collection.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about your awesome doll collection and how you're making Halloween displays out of them because they are so cool and inventive.
Thank you.
But we could also talk about more ghost stories if you want.
Well, I was trying to think of other ghost stories that I have, and I don't really have any that are chilling enough. I've heard a lot of stories. I've mentioned this in a post before. My aunt was not a ghost chaser, but like when people thought they had activity, they would call her. And so she had some great stories. One turned out, unfortunately, very creepy because it turned out there was actually somebody living in the cupboard.
Oh, shit.
That explained everything. But that was the only one that absolutely...
there was somebody living in her cupboard?
Yeah, it was a child.
What the fuck?
My uncle was considerably older than my mom, so these were back in rural areas long ago when I guess kids went missing and ended up in people's cupboards. I don't know, or my aunt was full of crap. I don't really know. She did tell these great stories. So I don't really have any of my own, except I've had a little bit of weird activity since we put the dolls up. Now, remember, I totally believe in this stuff, so...
Okay.
Gwendolyn. Here's the story with Gwendolyn. I'll try, and her name is Jessica Gwendolyn.
Is that the 150-year-old doll?
That's Georgiana. That's my mom's doll. So that was passed down from my grandmother to my mom, and she gave it to me.
Okay.
My daughter never really had anything for dolls, so none of my dolls excited her that much. So I don't think Georgiana's been out of her case for decades. But I kept her because she was very important to my mom. And thus my mom would kill me if I got rid of her. So she's out now, and I didn't touch her. But Jessica Gwendolyn is the doll that I have referred to a couple times as the haunted doll in my house.
Is that the one with the help me stick it, post it to it?
No, that's a thrift store purchase. Gwendolyn is the one in the top hat.
That one's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Jessica Gwendolyn's the one in the top hat who's sitting in the center of the fireplace.
Oh, it's a baby doll. I see her now.
Yes, she's a baby doll, and she was my doll from when I was a child.
Aww.
And when my parents were getting ready to move, they had this big storage space. So my brothers and I just kept everything we didn't want to store at our house at their house. And they're like, okay, now you have to come and take it and get rid of it.
I have my brother's crap now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, come get your records, Mike, and your Wired magazines from 1998. You know?
Well, it's funny because you really don't know what you want to keep until someone says, okay, you have to deal with it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because before, everything was so valuable. And then my parents are like, well, you have to take it. It can't stay here. And I'm like, I don't need this crap.
Yeah, exactly.
So my mom said, hey, we found a bunch of your dolls. This is not totally important, but my mom was a school teacher, and so she had trash cans, those big plastic trash cans.
Oh,
They just thrown all my dolls in there and capped it or whatever, and then put it in this very dubious storage area that they kept everything. And so I said, oh, great. So I take the lid off, and here my kids come over. You got to see this, and your mom's childhood, and blah, blah, blah. And I pull out this doll. And, like a rat's gotten to it, or it's gotten mold or something. So half of it's missing. So I'm picking out horror after horror, and the kids are just backing up. Like, what in God's name's going on? But I pulled out that doll, Jessica Gwendolyn. And the reason her name is such is because I couldn't remember her name. So we started calling her Gwendolyn. And then I remembered that I named her Jessica when I was a little girl.
Okay.
So I pull her out, and she looked exactly as you see her. Her hair's been eaten off. Her eyelashes were eaten. She doesn't have any mold on her, and there's not a bit missing from her outfit, which is one my mom made. My mom made that outfit from scratch, the shirt and the little jumper. There's not a moth bite. There's not a mouse bite. There's nothing. And there's not a bit of mold. Very important to the story, her eyes are gone. She's just got the white eyes, and you can see where they once were painted.
She's like glaucoma.
So we were in hysterics. We couldn't believe that this horror thing was being pulled from the basket. And so we took her everywhere on that trip because I was up there for an extended stay helping my parents clean up. And we would take her to parks and go swimming with her and all this. And people would just leave us this wide berth as we would, kind of play with her. It was a blast. We loved it. And everybody loved her and embraced her. And they thought it was hysterical. One day I'm in the car. at my parents' house, and we have Jessica Gwendolyn in the car, and I'm waiting for everybody. I'm the only one in the car, and I'm waiting for everybody. And I popped her up on the dashboard, and I started taking pictures of her because, of course, I'm posting them and sending them to my friends and stuff and terrifying them. And I took a picture. And not only do I have photographic evidence, I have first-person witness to this. Her eyes are painted in the photo.
Okay, you got to send it to me.
I got to find it.
Okay. You have the iCloud or whatever?
It's on my external drive. I just have to find the folder that it's in. But my son got in the car and he said, "What's wrong with you?" Because I was pale white, and I showed him my phone. From that day forward, we're like, okay, she means business. She's all with the fun and games, but you don't disrespect her. Weird stuff happens if she's not happy. Like the teddy bear that she has is a solution.
Yeah. Was that yours when you were little?
That was my husband's. And and it's all smashed up.
Okay,
and
cute. Well, it's mangy. What do they call it? Mangy?
Well, it's terrifying. And every time we went to say, hey, should we get rid of this? You just get that quivering lip. What? Teddy?
It's so funny.
But one year, Scott and I were chess pieces for Halloween. So I was a captured queen, and he was the fallen king. So he had a black mask over his face. We'd gotten a styrofoam head, and he had painted it and put the king crown on it.
You guys are awesome.
It helps to have an artist in the family.
Yeah.
So he would carry this around. And then, of course, after Halloween, we come home, we're exhausted. He throws it up on the bit in the living room right next to Jessica Gwendolyn. And for some reason, we never moved that head. And then when we were getting ready to move and I was cleaning everything out, I threw away the head. So we had this stupid styrofoam head in our living room for years. And we named him Saul. And then I just threw him out. And I cannot tell you the weird stuff that started happening when we got rid of Saul. Just books on the floor, things breaking, just general chaos. And I was cleaning up and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Jessica's pissed. And so I found Teddy and I gave her Teddy. And when I gave her Teddy, she settled down.
So weird stuff stopped happening as much when you gave Jessica Gwendolyn the Teddy.
Right. And some people cannot be in the room with her. So we have to move her when certain people come in to that room or into our house, which I think she actually gets off on. I think she loves that she scares people. But I can only, in the old house, I could only move her one of two places if she wasn't sitting in her regular spot. If I put her anywhere else, or God forbid, like in a drawer, weird stuff started happening again. So my son was the one who said, when we were thinking of themes for the house, he said, let's do a doll's house. And I went, oh, God, yeah, Diva would love that. So I went to the thrift store and I got all those dolls that you saw in that one picture. I said, okay, I'm about to take on these beasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the only dolls I had were Jessica Gwendolyn and Georgiana. And Georgiana, like I said, is never really out. And Jessica hangs out in my office. So I did
You put that one in your office because you want to keep her close. It's like keep your enemies closer.
Yeah, I love her. She's my best friend.
You just don't want to talk smack about her. She's going to get back at you.
I designed my whole office around her. I mean, my whole office looks like a Victorian whorehouse because, that's her style. So
you totally have Victorian whorehouse sensibility anyway.
So I got all these girls and I did all these terrible things to them in various states. I have one trapped in a box. I have a lot of...
Oh, in the aquarium and stuff.
Oh, right. Well,
yeah.
I've got the mermaids and defiled that poor Ken. And a couple of them, I just took the features off the face. So, everything looks fine. And then you get up to the face and there's no features and it's very Twilight Zone. And the first night I set everything up, I was woken up twice. I was asleep, so I don't know, but it was something fluttering in my face, and it was huge. And it woke me up twice, and it did not wake my husband up at all, nor did we see anything in the room after that.
Stop.
And then the second night, the exact same thing happened. Something fluttering in my face woke me up twice. The next night...
So this is with the new dolls?
This was the night I put up the dolls, the night I set up for Halloween.
Okay.
And I allowed all those dolls into my house and had defiled many of them. I'm woken up with this weird fluttering. And then the second night, the same thing happened. The night after that, I was turning off all the lights because all of those lights are battery operated, so I have to do them each individually.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm walking in front of Jessica Gwendolyn, who, as I said, is sitting on the mantle. And I said... I whispered, because I didn't want anyone to know I'd gone crazy. I said, listen, all of this was done for you. It's done in your honor. And I kissed the bottom of her foot, and I've never been woken up with that fluttering since.
Well, at least I was thinking that you brought another haunted doll into your house.
Well, that's what I was worried.
Yes. So if it's one, that's totally manageable, especially if, you know, you're treating her as your haunted doll overlord.
Yeah, when I made it clear that she was in charge. Maybe that did it. I don't know. But we've had...
I like to think I'm a skeptic, and I'm totally... I'm like, I believe this wholeheartedly. I'm like, oh yeah, that's... At least it's the one doll, and it's not some other random doll, which...
Well, so, but what do I do after Halloween? Like, what do I do with these dolls? Because I was just...
Oh, the other dolls? Because you think Jessica Gwendolyn is going to want the dolls there as a tribute. You just got to tell her.
No,
and you got to do a couple Christmas dolls. Like, do her a couple Christmas dolls and be like, now it's just you and you're the star.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, she's a diva. She wants these bitches out of here. But do I give them back to Goodwill? Or
these are your Halloween awesome displays now.
I was going to say, I might have to keep them for fear of retribution, you know? Like, what if they come back for me?
You can do different displays like you do with regular, you know, how every year you kind of do a different, what's that word, mise en scène or whatever.
I'm sure I can find something to do with these dolls.
Yeah, you just do something else with them every year for Halloween because now it's your thing.
Or I can mail them to people who I know are totally freaked out by creepy dolls.
But then you're going to piss off Jessica Gwendolyn.
No, as long as I don't touch her.
Because they're hers.
No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't. You could be right. I think she's very much ready for them to get the hell out of her house and let her take her spot back. But we'll see. I'll keep them around for a while and see what happens. But
well, at least till Halloween. This story is freaking me out. Oh my god!
You know who doesn't like the dolls? Are my dogs.
Okay, that is even more convincing.
They're okay now, but it took them a long while. I don't want to kill the vibe, but anytime I get something from a thrift store, I think it's got so many scents to it that I think it just puts the dogs on edge. Because like a skirt.
Because they don't know how many other dogs are people and they can't discern the different smells kind of thing. That's
right,
a good
like
way
is
to
this
think
a new
of it,
person? Because when a skirt or clothing has been washed and you've washed it, but an object probably hasn't been. So I think that's kind of what got them on edge. But they seem okay now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that is more reassuring to me. Because dogs, they sense that otherworldly stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, ever since I've been doing all that meditation and all that, I'm open to more of this craziness.
Really?
Yes. It changed something in my brain where it made me happier and more relaxed, but it also started helping me reach some of my goals and things like that a little bit easier.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it really did help. And a lot of those same YouTubers I watch for the meditations have these other videos about manifesting and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You know? And now I'm starting to buy into it. I'm sounding like Jenna Dewan or whatever.
Oh, my son believes in crystals. He's the only one in the family who does. I like that he buys into them because he uses them like talismans. I don't know if he actually believes they possess something. Because we research, there's a lot of research on what crystals are supposed to represent or whatever. I think he just ascribes something to them and adds it to his collection as kind of a talisman. And so I kind of like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's all the meaning you give to that. I have like 4 little ones. I got them at this little festival where this lady had like a fairy trailer or something. It was cute. And I was like, okay, I'll buy a few little rocks.
Yeah.
My mom was a trained therapist.
Mm-hmm.
She was a junior high guidance counselor, and she talks a lot about creative visualization was a thing in the 70s and 80s was what they called it.
Okay.
And if you think enough, like I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to get this abundance, blah, 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 you start making the moves towards doing that. And believing also helps. So it's not like you did nothing out of thin air.
Right.
Of course you've been working towards this, but it helps that you have this mindset of this is going to happen for me or whatever. I don't know.
Well, no, I remember the whole visualization.
Yeah.
Do you remember color therapy in the 80s? Well, probably not. So I was taking workshop for the various things I was involved in. And color therapy was a big one. That they believe that if you sat on a certain color, you would actually enhance your ability.
Color.
Yeah, color.
I thought I was thinking of Keller.
No, sorry, color. So like if you sat on this color, it opened you up to this or whatever. And I mean, you know, it's the same things like the dolls. If I want to believe that the doll is the one who left my stove on, that's who I'm going to believe left my stove on. You know, and if I believe that I've been opened up to this, then, I mean, all of it's kind of connected, and maybe that's how it works, or maybe it's just you being more open-minded. I don't know. I think, like you said, as long as the end result is the goal is obtained, then how you got there is kind of inconsequential.
I was thinking I would cut all that, but it was really interesting how we came to that point, like where we agreed. You know?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the user feedback. So Myrtle said on our podcast post, thanks for putting these out on Mondays. Something sweet for the start of the week. You're welcome. It's just so we could have the weekend to work on them. And then Beck said that she was one of the cranky people in the comments who we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and that people were ticking her off, and we can relate to that. So, and I wanted to thank everybody who gave me skydiving encouragement. I have not gone yet, but I will go in the spring. And they were Chicago, Audrey, Hala, and Manda.
Wasn't it last week that I was making jokes about you dying, and then we were talking about car accidents? Yeah. Well, we can do that again if you want.
Sure. Let's recreate that. So I got this email from the people which said there's a 50-50 chance, and then you started busting out laughing.
because I thought it was going to say 50-50 chance that you're going to die.
No, it was a 50-50 chance that you could go because of the weather, a little cloud cover or something, and it's 2 hours away. So I was like, okay, I would rather not flip that coin today.
And I'd rather not die as well. So my vote is still to avoid skydiving. That's just my 2 cents.
If I die, I'm so gonna haunt you, though.
Oh, God.
Oh, let's move on to the comments of this week. My comment of the week is from this post about Jana Kramer, and if you don't know who she is, that's good, 'cause there's no reason to.
If you don't know who she is, well, you know, great.
She was on like One Tree Hill or something, whatever, some CW show, and she has a podcast now where her husband cheats on her all the time and then goes to rehab and says she's cured, and that's their whole brand. And they talk about it on their podcast. So she found nude pics on his phone, which were deleted. And she said every time she checks his phone, she finds nude pics. But it's okay this time because it was from a bot. Because she like texted it and it gave her the script that looped. So this was a stupid follow-up article I made to an early article about it, whatever. Megan said, ever since I read the article 2 weeks ago, I've been getting texts from bots about being a single female and wanting to meet up, yet I haven't received any nude pictures. I just delete the message and move on with my life. Everyone was like, how is he getting bots texting him?
I get bots sometimes, but no, they don't send me dick photos. Anyway.
You get like Democrat bots, right?
I get weird bots. I don't know. They're just random. All right, my comment of the week is from that absolutely stupid Miley Cyrus story about how, like, I'm not even going to try to quote her because she's that big of a fucking idiot, but...
She's an idiot, yeah.
So she's, you know, obviously she identifies as bisexual now. She's bisexual now, but she was trying to talk shit about Liam Hemsworth. but she ended up saying like all this homophobic shit instead. So anyway,
about how she almost went to women because she couldn't find a good dick or something.
Because all guys are assholes, and that's the only reason that she was dating women, basically. So Market Street Minifig says, if she's representing anyone, it's stupid people, not bisexual women. It's so true.
Yeah, she's an idiot, and she's performative about her.
Can you believe she's 26 years old? 26. And
I didn't know, because I wouldn't believe that just right now. Like I thought she's about 23, 22.
She acts like she's 14.
Yeah, she does. Oh, what did she say in that interview? She said, I'm redefining what it means to be bisexual. Yeah. That's what she said. Remember? It was like, no, you're not. Yeah. Other women do that.
And she said that she was redefining what it means to be bisexual while she was just married to an average white guy. You know?
That guy is way above average. She did not deserve that guy.
Yeah. Poor Liam, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, but then he's dating some young model.
Yes.
I don't know. All right. Thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. If you like us, tell a friend. And if you rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, it helps us out and we appreciate it a lot. Our phone number is 434-218-3219, where you can text us or leave a voicemail. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.